guys, what's up? Killjoy Jake here, and instead of having friends, I have horror movies. Today we are going to be pitting the original 1990 It miniseries versus It 2017 and It Chapter 2 from 2019. I'm just combining them together, and they're both going to float against each other. They're going to be pitted against each other, but it's a pun from the movie. You get it. Who will be the victor in this epic battle of remake versus the original? It's kind of a remake, but also kind of not, but don't worry about it. This is just a silly YouTube series, so it doesn't matter. Now before I get into this, I'm gonna need you guys to like this video and subscribe for more horror content. And also, sorry this is late, this was supposed to come out last Sunday and now you're getting it on a Saturday, or Friday. I don't know when I'm posting this. But don't worry, you get double versus this weekend, because tomorrow the Scream sequel versus original comes out. Alright, now let's get into it. Get over here! So before I really start getting into the ranking, let's talk a little bit about these movies. It is a 1990 American ABC two-part psychological horror drama miniseries, directed by Tommy Lee Wallace and adapted by Lawrence D. Cohen, from Stephen King's 1986 novel of the same name. The story revolves around a predatory monster, which has the ability to transform itself into its prey's worst fears, allowing it to exploit the phobias of its victims. It mostly takes the humanoid form of a darkly comedic clown called Pennywise, played by the great Tim Curry. The story also follows the protagonists, called the Losers Club, a group of outcast kids who discover Pennywise and vow to kill him by any means necessary. Also, if you haven't seen these before and you're still gonna watch this video, because I know some of you do that, all the scenes where you see the kids in the 1990 movie, that takes place in the 1960s. And then in the future time, it's like present day, so like 1990, late 80s, whatever. But that changes for the remake. Remakes, I guess. It Chapter 1 is from 2017, followed by It Chapter 2, that came out in 2019, and are supernatural horror films based on Stephen King's 1986 novel of the same name, blah blah blah. Both of the films are directed by Andy Muschietti, and star a whole bunch of actors that I just don't want to edit into this series. Because holy crap, this is a gigantic cast. I will mention, because it's going to be a big factor in this ranking, Bill Skarsgård plays Pennywise in this one. And it is an unbelievably huge argument in the horror community of who played Pennywise better, because it's totally different takes on the character, and both are very effective, at least in my opinion. So this is going to be unbelievably hard to rank both of these movies, because they're both pretty great and pretty terrible in totally different ways. So let's start off with the good. Starting off with the 1990 miniseries, Tim Curry gives an absolutely incredible performance as Pennywise. I mean, when doesn't Tim Curry give a great performance? I love the man's comedic performance and his pretty terrifying look. I know this cover scared a lot of people who grew up in the early 1990s. Me though, you know, it didn't really hit me that much. I was terrified by a lot of different things because I grew up in the late thousands and the early 2010s. So unfortunately it doesn't have that nostalgia effect for me. Moving on to the remake, Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise is also terrific and gives an unbelievably great performance. Skarsgård really got to shine in that first movie, making Pennywise a little more personable and a little more scary. He kind of loses the comedic aspect of Pennywise and takes it more down like a Pennywise is hunting children kind of route. Which is a weird way to put it, but it kind of makes sense if you think about it. Skarsgård's physicality is what basically got him the role. He's able to do that thing with his eyes where he can go wall-eyed. And apparently on the first day of shooting, he actually drooled on Jack Dylan Grazer to symbolize, like, you know, Pennywise is hungry for children. I never thought I'd say that in a YouTube video. This film has a horrifying and effective opening scene. It Chapter 1 is one of my favorite films from the 2010s, and it's basically just because of this opening scene. It's so unbelievably scary to see Georgie die in the way he does, getting his arm ripped off and then pulled down into the sewer screaming. I mean, it's horrifying. Holy crap, he's a kid. It Chapter 1 comes like really hot out of the gates, and then, it kind of settles down a little bit, but it's okay. It's okay. We're talking about the good right now. Also, this further proves my point that if you're wearing a yellow raincoat in a horror movie, you're probably going to die. I really want to start that trend. Let's get that going. I love the dynamic between the kids. The casting for both films is incredible. All the adult actors look exactly like their kid counterparts. It's not just like one or two of them look really good. They all have like very similar facial features. Casting is so important to movies or television, whatever. There's three things that initially make or break your movie, and one of them is for sure casting. One day I'll probably do a whole video on the three things that I think are so important for just movies in general, but we gotta keep moving on with this review. Speaking of that, it is unfortunately time to talk about the bad. Starting off with the original, I would say that this mini-series is just unbelievably boring when Tim Curry isn't on screen. If Pennywise isn't dancing around and going ha 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 ha, then this mini-series is unwatchable. There are so many hard scenes to watch in this freaking miniseries. Rewatching it this week, I was falling asleep. I had to fast forward through some parts. I'm sorry. I know a lot of y'all really like it. It's really hard for me to get through. Kind of a chore to watch this one. The adult cast is unbearable. Besides John Ritter, relax. I know he's awesome. But adult Richie is so f***ing annoying. Beep beep, Richie. Beep beep. Also, there's a huge flaw from the book that they just didn't decide to change. The Henry Bowers plotline does absolutely nothing for the plots, and you could either one, cut it out or make it effective somehow. Henry Bowers just kind of bullies the kids a little bit, then goes to prison or a mental institution, whatever. Pennywise gets him out, and then he literally gets killed by the Losers Club. He serves no purpose to the plots. You could make it effective and have him like actually kill one of the losers, which would be sad but effective to the plots, but nah, they just decide not to do that. This went nowhere, and it takes up a large amount of the runtime that could have just been cut out and been used for other cool Pennywise shots. Moving on to the remakes, Chapter 2 is one of the clunkiest movies I have ever seen. The plot is all over the place. Multiple scenes in this movie could have been cut out completely and not replaced with anything. It didn't need to be that long. And let's talk about the opening scene for a second. The opening scene completely fails to set up this movie because of one big thing. I think the reason that Chapter 1 is so scary is because you set it up at the beginning that Pennywise is this horrifying, personable killer. He's not like Jason or Michael Myers where it's like they're sociopathic. Their one goal is to kill people and they just don't talk, they don't have any other emotions. They're not emphatic at all. They're just out to kill. The beginning of this movie makes it seem like Pennywise is that kind of killer, but he's not at all. He's more of a Freddy Krueger where he's actually like really personable. I'm gonna keep saying that word because it's really important to this character, and it's important for him to instill fear in his victims. He doesn't just go out into the streets and bite into people that unfortunately got thrown into a river because of, bigotry. It makes no sense. This film should have started off with the little girl kill. Why? Because it's parallel to the original kill from the first movie. And although it's not as good and not as effective, it is the most effective part of this entire movie. And why is that? Because Bill Skarsgård actually got to talk. The rest of Chapter 2, he doesn't get like any dialogue, and it's such a missed opportunity and totally loses what was so great about that first movie. What were you doing, Chapter 2? You missed the mark so bad. Oh, and also this film does the exact same thing with the Henry Bowers plotline. Totally useless. Could have cut it out of the movie entirely. The CGI effects suck so effing bad. This is some of the worst CGI I have ever seen in a horror movie. Both of them. 2017 and 2019. It sucks all around. It's not scary, and it looks like something you would see in a PS1 animation. The 2017 It could have been so freaking good. It could have been my favorite Stephen King movie adaptation, but because it does this, it's so hard to watch. Like, anytime I watch It Chapter 1, I fast forward through those parts. The biggest part of the film that I just can't stand is when he comes out of the fridge and then like his whole face starts melting into this digital mess of. And finally, the ending to It Chapter 2 is so pathetic. You kill one of the biggest horror icons of all time, and probably the biggest one of like my generation or the 2010s, by bullying him to death? What the It Chapter 2 is one of the most disappointing horror films I have ever seen in my life. And I think the reason that I wanted It Chapter 3 so bad is just so it can fix all the problems with 2. Bullying Pennywise to death. I mean, I still can't get over that. I'm still mad about it. I can't even believe that movie exists. And I can't believe it was made by the same people too. So am I handing out the Ugly Award? Yes, I am in fact. I want to give it to It Chapter 2, but that kind of defeats the whole purpose of like this whole thing. But I'm definitely giving it to It 1990. I mean, Tim Curry's great. This miniseries really sucks and drags for that lengthy runtime. The real winner here is It from 2017, It Chapter 1, whatever the heck you want to call it. It Chapter 2 does not win. That's ugly too. We're gonna put that on the ugly list too. I'm just gonna edit that in. Screw it. I don't care. It's my show. I do what I want. Because you have that opening kill that is just unbelievably iconic. We see parodies of it on YouTube all the time. But then you also have those digital effects that look like trash. I mean, I have seen low budget special effects. Like the movie Anaconda, in my opinion, has better special effects than both of the It remakes. And Anaconda's pretty bad. I have a love-hate relationship with these movies. Like there's so many good things to pull from them, but there's also so much crap that surrounds it. It's so unfortunate that these movies couldn't have been done better. And they could have too. That's the thing. They had the potential to be like some of the best Stephen King adaptations ever. Maybe even better than The Shining. Yeah, I said it. But it messed up, man. They messed up. So what do you guys think about this? Am I just angry ranting at the camera and you guys don't care because you actually kind of like the It movies? Of course you do. Leave me something about it in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching me angry rant about It Chapter 2. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more horror content. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at KilljoyJake1 and on Instagram at Killjoy_Jake. And now on Twitch at KJJ Live. And as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.